Rain has always had a hold on me, a grip of fear that keeps me indoors when storms rage outside. It wasn't always like this. I used to find solace in watching raindrops cascade down windows. But now, my curtains remain tightly drawn, concealing the edges of the windowsill. I wish I could share the reason behind my unease, to caution and validate my feelings. However, it's a story that can only be written, not shown. It feels like a fantasy, a bizarre tale destined to fade away in the vast expanse of the internet. Back in 2012, as a 21-year-old forestry student, I cherished nature's wonders. An opportunity for extra credit presented itself. A few days hiking along secluded trails during a break. Excitement filled me as I invited Lily, a quiet and sweet friend, to join me on this adventure. We prepared diligently, gathered supplies, and set off to a remote trail a few hours away. The initial moments were blissful, walking without a care in the world. The stress melted away, leaving only the joy of the present moment. Little did we know, the tranquility would soon be shattered. As the day wore on, an unexpected storm brewed overhead, contrary to the weather forecasts. Lily and I hurried to find shelter, eventually stumbling upon a small cabin. What awaited us inside defied explanation. A mysterious arm, pale and motionless, protruded from the ground. The discovery triggered a series of events that plunged us into a nightmarish ordeal. Lily called the rangers for help, but what unfolded outside the cabin was beyond comprehension. A ranger, seemingly possessed, approached with an eerie smile. Unearthly hands and a submerged face in the mud hinted at a monstrous entity defying the laws of reality. As the ranger was consumed by the earth, we locked ourselves in, only to face a relentless assault from below. Fingers clawed at the floorboards, desperate to drag us down. Lily, resilient, seized an opportunity to escape. We raced towards the ranger's vehicle, leaving the cabin and its horrors behind. Yet, the image of that unblinking head still haunts me, a silent watcher, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to pass by. Now, every rainfall prompts me to wonder if, somewhere in those woods, a million hands lie in wait, ready to pull someone into the depths of the earth.
As a college student, I found myself working as a delivery driver for my local Papa John's, one of the few job options that fit my schedule. A couple of my friends also joined in, but despite having the same shifts, we rarely crossed paths since we were all out on deliveries. This particular incident took place last December, during the pre-Christmas rush. The night was snowy, making deliveries challenging and time-consuming. Despite the added stress of increased orders and the weather, I never felt too overwhelmed. At 9:30, I geared up for my next set of deliveries. I had 2 orders, both just a 5-minute drive from each other, but quite a distance from the shop. The snow made the 15-minute drive more like 25 minutes. The route led me to a less visited part of town, with older houses and closed shops, rarely frequented by anyone other than the residents. After 20 minutes of driving, I arrived at the first address, an older neighborhood with seemingly empty houses. A kind old man received his pizza, and I set off for the next house. As I drove deeper into the neighborhood, the houses became scarcer, surrounded by trees and open spaces. At the second address, I found myself in an isolated spot with no other houses in sight. A middle-aged woman, who appeared to have just woken up, answered the door. Something felt off about her, and as she counted the cash slowly, engaging in strange small talk, my discomfort grew. Glancing back at my car, I noticed a man tampering with it. When I confronted the woman, her demeanor changed to anger. She attempted to pull me inside the house, but I managed to break free and sprinted into the trees. I could hear the man chasing me through the forest, but eventually his footsteps faded. After a 2-minute sprint, I stopped to catch my breath, grateful for the moonlight guiding me back to a neighborhood street. I called 911, and after a cold wait, an officer arrived. Another patrol caught the man attempting to break into my car. The motive seemed to be financial desperation, and the entire encounter was likely a ploy to distract me while they robbed my vehicle. I consider myself fortunate to have escaped unharmed, being the first victim before their eventual arrest. It's a chilling reminder of the dangers faced during routine deliveries and the importance of staying vigilant.
It was just last winter, in the early days of February. Exhausted after a 4-hour drive for my next DoorDash order, the clock was approaching midnight. I had decided that after this one, it was time to call it a night, especially considering the treacherous, icy roads. Navigating down a seemingly desolate road that connected two main towns, there was a stretch of about 5 miles with no buildings or houses in sight. As I was driving through this isolated section, an unexpected wave of tiredness hit me. For a few seconds, I lost focus on the road, and before I knew it, my car slid off the road and into a small ditch between the road and the woods. The impact, softened by the snow, left me a bit shaken. I quickly realized that getting out of this situation was nearly impossible. Stuck on the incline of the ditch, my car was wedged in thick snow. Despite attempting to maneuver for traction, I only seemed to make matters worse. Amidst my efforts, I noticed headlights down the road. Initially, I thought it was just a passing car, but as seconds passed, it became evident that the vehicle wasn't moving. Someone was parked down the road with their headlights on. This struck me as peculiar, given the emptiness of the long, deserted road. I called my dad, hoping he'd still be awake and able to help. He assured me he'd call roadside assistance and then head down to wait with me. While I waited, I kept an eye on the road, but the headlights from the mysterious car had vanished. It left me feeling uneasy, especially considering the silence surrounding my stranded car. After 3 minutes, a figure appeared, walking towards my car from the direction where the headlights had been. Cloaked in a hoodie, the person reached about 15 feet from the front of my car and abruptly stopped, facing me, but not moving. Paralyzed with fear, I softly honked my horn to signal my presence. No response. Just as I contemplated calling my dad again, the person turned around and walked away, disappearing into the darkness. I informed my dad about the strange encounter, and he assured me he was just a minute away. Staying on the phone with him, I saw headlights in the distance approaching my car. As the vehicle parked across the road, my dad's car pulled in front of me, screeching to a stop. He confronted the person, who hastily retreated, never to return. Thankfully, the night concluded without further incidents, and my car, surprisingly, sustained minimal damage. The events of that night remain a mystery, but I count myself incredibly fortunate to have escaped whatever potentially dangerous situation awaited me.